I should have known something was off when she started using my car more than I did. Started small, an errand here, a quick trip there. Stephanie always had a good reason. My car's acting up, she'd say, or, I just need to grab something real quick. I never questioned it. After all, I loved my wife. If she needed my car, she could have it. But then, the excuses started getting thinner. She'd take it for a coffee run and be gone for 2 hours. She'd pick up groceries but come home with just a single bag, looking flustered, like she forgot what she was supposed to buy. At first, I chalked it up to absent-mindedness. We all zone out sometimes. Then came the nights when she'd say she was meeting a friend after work but wouldn't come home until long after dinner. Her texts got vaguer, her excuses shorter. And still, I tried to ignore it. Until the night I woke up at 2 a.m. and she wasn't in bed. I checked my phone. No messages. I padded into the living room and peeked out the window. My car was gone. My stomach tightened. I told myself she probably just got caught up talking to a friend and lost track of time. I told myself I was overthinking it. But I sat there in the dark, staring at my phone, waiting for a message that never came. At 2:47 a.m., the headlights finally swept across the driveway. I heard the soft click of the door unlocking, the rustle of keys being set down. I stayed on the couch, pretending I had just woken up. "You're home late," I said, my voice rough with sleep. She froze for a second, then laughed softly. "Yeah, lost track of time." Lisa had a lot to vent about.
Lisa.
The friend she always used as a cover when she didn't want to explain where she was. I didn't push. Not yet. But that night, as she curled up beside me in bed, smelling faintly of perfume that wasn't hers, I stared at the ceiling and felt something I hadn't felt in years. Doubt. The next few weeks were a slow descent into paranoia. I started paying attention, not just to what she said but how she said it. The quick way she pulled her phone away when I walked into the room. The way she laughed a little too hard at texts she never showed me. The way she kissed me goodbye in the mornings but avoided eye contact. And my car. My car was always on the move. One Saturday, I casually asked why she didn't just take her own. "You don't like driving my car?" I joked, keeping my voice light. She hesitated for just a second too long. "Yours drives smoother," she said. That was a lie. My car was older, slightly rough around the edges. Hers was newer, sportier. She loved that thing. She used to take pride in keeping it spotless. So why was she avoiding it now? I started checking the mileage before she left. When she came home, I'd casually glance at the odometer. The numbers didn't make sense. She said she was going to the store, but an extra 50 miles had been added. I felt sick. I wanted to believe there was a logical explanation. I wanted to trust her, but the doubts were like cracks in glass, spreading, deepening, ready to shatter everything. And then the car broke down. I should have been frustrated. Instead, I felt a strange sense of relief, because now I had an excuse to take it to a mechanic. And maybe, just maybe, I'd find the truth I was afraid to face. When I pulled into the auto shop, I wasn't just bringing my car in for repairs. I was carrying the weight of weeks of suspicion. The guy at the counter, Mike, was someone I'd gone to a few times before. Straight shooter. Knew his stuff. He popped the hood, poked around for a bit, then scratched his chin. "Looks like your transmission's acting up," he said. "Might take a couple of days to sort out." I nodded, barely listening. My eyes drifted toward my car, my mind racing. Mike wiped his hands on a rag and gave me a look. "You want to hear something weird?" I snapped back to attention. "What?" He jerked his thumb toward my car. "Saw something when I was doing the initial check. You got a dash cam in there?" My stomach dropped.
No.
"Ha!" He frowned. "Well, someone does. There's a small hidden camera tucked near the rearview mirror, wired straight into the car's power." I felt the blood drain from my face. "A camera? In my car?" My mind scrambled for an explanation. Maybe Stephanie put it there for safety. Maybe it was installed before I bought the car and I just never noticed. But a deeper part of me, the part that had been whispering for weeks, already knew the answer. "Can you pull the footage?" I heard myself ask. Mike hesitated. "It's not really what I do, man. But I could try. He took the car into the garage while I sat in the waiting area, heart pounding. Every second felt like an hour. Finally, he came back holding a small memory card. "You sure you want to see this?" he asked. I swallowed hard. "Yeah." He handed it over. "Might want to check it in private." I left without another word. Back home, I sat at my desk, staring at the tiny memory card in my palm like it was a live wire. My hands shook as I slotted it into my computer. A list of files popped up. Hundreds of them. I clicked on the most recent one. For the first few seconds, all I saw was my dashboard, the faint reflection of Stephanie's face in the windshield. She was parked, talking to someone just outside the frame. Then, a man stepped into view, and my world tilted. It was him, my best friend, laughing, leaning into the car, reaching in. I felt sick. My ears rang. I clicked another video, then another. The same man, different places, always my car. The pieces clicked into place like a cruel puzzle. Stephanie wasn't just borrowing my car. She was using it to see him, to hide the mileage, to cover her tracks, to make sure I never suspected a thing. And all the while I had trusted her. A sound escaped my throat. Half laugh, half sob. She thought she was being clever. Thought she had everything under control. But she had made one mistake. She never checked the camera. I don't remember how long I sat there, staring at the screen. My body felt numb, but my mind was on fire. The images burned into me. Stephanie in my car, laughing, touching him, whispering things I couldn't hear but didn't need to. I wanted to scream, to throw my chair, to punch a hole in the wall. But I didn't. Instead, I reached for my phone. I wasn't going to ask. I wasn't going to give her a chance to lie. I was going to make her face it. She picked up on the third ring. "Hey babe, what's up?" Her voice was light, casual. Like nothing was wrong. Like she wasn't spending her nights with someone else while I was home, wondering why she was always late. I forced my voice to stay steady. "When are you coming home?" Probably in an hour? Lisa and I are still out."
Lisa.
"Right." I exhaled slowly, gripping the edge of my desk. "Come home now." A pause. "Why?" "Because I said so." Another pause, longer this time. "Okay?" She hung up. I sat there, staring at the screen, my heart pounding. The moment she walked through the door, she knew something was wrong. I was sitting in the living room, laptop open on the coffee table. The video paused on a frame that showed her leaning across the center console, smiling at him. Her face drained of color. "Sit," I said. My voice didn't even sound like mine. She didn't move. "What's going on?" I turned the laptop toward her. She flinched like I had thrown something at her. "I think you already know." Her hands clenched into fists. "Where did you get that? That's your first question?" I laughed, a bitter, hollow sound. "Not, I can explain? Not, it's not what it looks like?" She opened her mouth, then closed it. I leaned back, folding my arms. "How long?" She looked away. "How long, Stephanie?" She swallowed hard. "A few months." My jaw tightened. "How many?" She hesitated. 6. 6 months. Half a year. I felt like the floor had dropped out from under me. "Why?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. She let out a shaky breath. "I don't know." That made me snap. "You don't know?" I stood up, my pulse hammering. "You used my car to cheat on me. Do you know how disgusting that is? Do you even realize how sick that is?" She flinched. "I didn't." "Didn't what?" "Think I'd find out." I shook my head, running a hand through my hair. "You thought you were so smart, covering your tracks, deleting texts, lying to my face. But you missed one thing, Stephanie. My car saw everything." Tears welled in her eyes. "It wasn't supposed to be like this." I let out a humorless laugh. "Oh, and how was it supposed to be?" She didn't answer. And in that moment I knew. She wasn't sorry she cheated. She was sorry she got caught. Silence stretched between us, heavy and suffocating. Stephanie stood there, shifting on her feet, her face pale. I could see the gears turning in her head, scrambling for the right words, the right excuse. Something that might soften the blow, something that might make me doubt my own eyes. But there was nothing. I had the proof. You don't have anything to say? I finally asked, my voice eerily calm. Her eyes darted toward the laptop, then back to me. It didn't mean anything. I clenched my jaw. That's supposed to make me feel better? Her hands trembled as she crossed her arms. I never meant to hurt you. Well, congratulations, Stephanie. You did. She exhaled shakily, rubbing her forehead. I was lost, okay? I don't know what happened. One thing led to another, and one thing led to another? I repeated, my voice sharp. That's what you're going with? You had an affair for 6 months, Stephanie. In my car. Don't insult me by acting like you just fell into it. Her lip trembled. For a second, I thought she was going to cry, but the tears never came. Instead, she sat down on the couch, staring at the floor. I don't know what you want me to say. I laughed bitterly. You think I want an apology? That's not going to erase what you did. She wiped at her eyes, but there were no real tears. Just guilt. Or maybe just regret. Regret that she'd been caught. I should have been heartbroken. I should have been shattered. But sitting there, watching her struggle to come up with something, I realized something terrifying. I didn't feel love for her anymore. I had spent weeks, months doubting myself, questioning my own sanity, wondering if I was just being paranoid. But now that the truth was out in the open, something inside me clicked. This woman wasn't my wife anymore. She was just a stranger who had worn her face. Do you love him? I asked suddenly. She flinched. That told me everything. I nodded slowly, exhaling. Got it. She looked up, panicked. Wait, I didn't say. You didn't have to. Her face crumbled. I still love you. No, you don't. I met her eyes, my voice firm. If you did, we wouldn't be here. Her breath hitched. Please, can we just talk about this? We can work through it. I scoffed. Work through it? Stephanie, do you hear yourself? You've been sneaking around for 6 months. If that stupid hidden camera hadn't been in my car, would you have ever told me? She opened her mouth, closed it. I shook my head. That's what I thought. Silence settled again, heavier than before. I stood up. My hands weren't shaking anymore. My mind was clear. I'll be in the guest room tonight, I said. Tomorrow, we figure out how to split everything up. Her eyes widened. Wait, what? You're just leaving. I let out a slow breath, looking at her, really looking at her. And I didn't see my wife anymore. Stephanie, I said quietly, you left a long time ago, and then I walked away. I didn't sleep that night. Lying in the guest room, staring at the ceiling, I replayed everything in my head. Every excuse, every late-night absence, every time I had given her the benefit of the doubt. It was all so clear now. The signs had been there for months, but I had refused to see them. I wasn't angry anymore. I was just done. Sometime after 4 a.m., I grabbed my phone and started making a list. Lawyers, financial advisors, steps to separate accounts. I wasn't going to drag this out. I was going to end it. By morning, my decision was set in stone. Stephanie was in the kitchen when I walked in, nursing a cup of coffee like it was the only thing keeping her together. She looked up, eyes red-rimmed. Did you sleep? I ignored the question. We need to talk. She swallowed, nodding. Okay. I sat down across from her, setting my phone on the table. We're done, Stephanie. Her breath hitched. Can we just?
No.
Her hands trembled around the coffee mug. Can't we try counseling? Something? I almost laughed. Counseling? After everything? You didn't even hesitate to lie to me last night, I said. Even after I showed you the proof. You were still looking for a way out of it. Her lips parted, but no words came. I leaned forward, voice low. If I hadn't found that camera, would you still be seeing him right now? She paled. I nodded. That's what I thought. The silence stretched between us, thick with everything that would never be said. She exhaled shakily. I never wanted to hurt you. I met her gaze steady. You just didn't care enough not to. Her face crumpled, but I didn't feel sorry for her. I stood up. I'm getting a lawyer. We'll figure out how to split everything. She wiped at her eyes. You don't have to do this. I looked at her one last time. Yes, I do. Then I walked away. And for the first time in months I felt free. Walking away wasn't enough. Not after what she did. Not after she made a fool out of me, parading around with my so-called best friend like I was some clueless idiot. She didn't just betray me. She used me, my car, my trust, my love, and I wasn't about to let her walk away unscathed. I didn't want anything violent or illegal. I wanted something that would stick, something that would burn every bridge she thought she still had left. So I started planning. The first step was simple. I reached out to him, her affair partner, my best friend. I didn't call or text. I waited until I knew exactly where he'd be, his favorite gym. He had a routine, predictable as ever. I showed up 10 minutes after he did, walked right into the locker room, and stood in front of his locker, waiting. When he finally walked in, towel around his neck, he stopped dead. His eyes flickered with something. Guilt? Fear? Maybe both. Hey man, he started, forcing a laugh. What's up? I smiled. I know. His face went blank. Know what? I pulled out my phone, tapped the screen, and let the video play. The color drained from his face. You know, I said, tilting my head, I thought about beating your ass. I really did. I pocketed my phone. But then I realized, you're not worth it. He swallowed hard. Look man, I don't care. I cut him off. I just came here to do you a favor. His brow furrowed. A favor. I grinned. Yeah, let your wife know what's coming. His entire body stiffened. Oh, he thought I was the only one in the dark? That he was in control? Not anymore. The next move was the real masterpiece. I planned a little gathering at our house. A backyard barbecue, something casual. Invited friends, mutual acquaintances. But most importantly, I invited her affair partner's wife. She had no idea what was coming. Neither did Stephanie. I played it cool all evening, smiling, grilling, acting like the perfect host. Stephanie was on edge the entire time, probably wondering why I wasn't breaking down, why I was still being nice. And then, once everyone had a drink in hand, I cleared my throat. Hey everyone, I said, raising my glass. I just wanted to thank you all for coming. But before we eat, I have a little story to share. Stephanie stiffened. Her affair partner, the coward, shifted uncomfortably. His wife, bless her heart, smiled at me, completely oblivious. I turned to her. Actually, this story is mostly for you. Her smile faltered. And then, in front of everyone, I told the truth. I told her how Stephanie had been borrowing my car for months, how the hidden camera caught everything, how her husband had been having an affair right under her nose. Gasps. Silence. A choking sound from Stephanie. And then, chaos. His wife lost it. Screaming, shoving, drinks spilling. Stephanie sobbing, trying to talk to me. But I just watched it all unfold, calm as ever. And when it was over, when the dust settled, when the betrayal was laid bare for everyone to see, I turned to Stephanie one last time. Enjoy your new life, I said. Oh, wait. You don't have one anymore. And I walked inside, closing the door behind me. The second I closed the door, the weight of everything hit me. Muffled yelling echoed from the backyard. Stephanie pleading. Her affair partner's wife screaming at him. Guests murmuring in stunned silence. I exhaled slowly, gripping the edge of the kitchen counter, letting it all sink in. I had done it. I had ripped the mask off, exposed them both in front of everyone. No lies, no excuses. Just cold, hard truth for all to see. And now there was nothing left for her to hide behind. I peeked through the blinds. Stephanie was standing there, frozen, like she still couldn't believe what had just happened. Her affair partner was frantically trying to talk to his wife, who looked like she was about to throw her drink in his face. Then, as if feeling my eyes on her, Stephanie turned toward the house. Our eyes met through the window. For the first time in months, I saw something real in her face. Not love, not guilt, fear. She knew it was over. An hour later, the guests were gone. She walked in, slow, hesitant, like she was stepping through a minefield. Her makeup was streaked, her eyes red from crying. "You destroyed me," she whispered. I let out a short laugh.
No, Stephanie.
"You did that to yourself." She wiped at her face. "Do you even care that you humiliated me? You mean the way you humiliated me?" I shot back. "For 6 months." She opened her mouth, then closed it. I shook my head. "We're done, Stephanie. We have nothing left to talk about." Her lip trembled. "Where do we go from here?" I stared at her, not feeling an ounce of pity. "I already told you. I'm filing for divorce." Her breath hitched. "Please, let's just think about this." I scoffed. "Think? About what? You made your choice. Now you get to live with it." Tears welled up again, but I didn't care. Not anymore. She had spent months tearing this marriage apart, piece by piece. Now she had to stand in the wreckage alone. I grabbed my keys. "I'll be back later." She blinked. "Where are you going?" I didn't answer, because honestly, for the first time in a long time, I didn't owe her a damn thing. I drove with no real destination in mind. Just away. Away from the house, from the wreckage of my marriage, from the woman who had spent half a year lying to my face. The night air was crisp, the streets quiet. I rolled down the window, letting the cool breeze hit me. For the first time in months, my chest didn't feel tight. I was free, but freedom comes with an emptiness, too. I pulled into a quiet parking lot, turned off the engine, and just sat there. My phone buzzed, probably Stephanie. I didn't check. Let her sit in it. Let her feel even a fraction of what I'd been feeling all this time. Instead, I scrolled through my contacts until I landed on the one person who deserved to know the truth before hearing it through the grapevine. Her father. I hesitated, then hit call. It rang twice before his deep voice answered.
Hey, son.
"Everything all right?" I almost laughed at the irony. "Not really. What's wrong?" His tone sharpened with concern. I exhaled. "It's about Stephanie." By the time I got back home, she was sitting on the couch, eyes red, clutching her phone like it was a lifeline. She looked up as I walked in, desperate. "You told my dad?" I tossed my keys on the counter. "Yeah." Her face crumbled. "Why would you do that?" "Because he deserves to know what kind of person his daughter is." She swallowed hard, looking down. "He called me. He's ashamed of me." I shrugged. "So am I." She sucked in a sharp breath like I had physically struck her. But I didn't feel bad. Not anymore. She did this, and now she had to live with it. Over the next few days, the fallout was immediate. Her parents were furious. Her friends, our friends, were choosing sides, and, to her shock, most weren't choosing hers. Turns out, when you betray someone so thoroughly, people start seeing you differently. She tried to talk, to text, to plead, but I ignored every message. I met with a lawyer, started the divorce process, separated our accounts. And the best part? Her affair partner's wife wasn't just leaving him. She was going after everything. He was about to lose half of his assets, his home, and, from what I heard, his reputation at work was in the gutter. Good. Let them burn together. The last time I saw Stephanie, she was packing her things. She hesitated in the doorway, looking at me one last time. "Was there ever a chance to fix this?" she asked softly.
Is Terta here?
This woman who, at one point, had been my entire world. This woman who had thrown it all away. "No," I said simply. She nodded, eyes glassy. Then, without another word, she walked out. And for the first time in years, my home felt like mine again. It's been months now. The divorce went through cleanly. I kept the house. I got a new car. I reconnected with people I had lost touch with. And more importantly, I started living for me again. Some nights I still think about it all, the lies, the betrayal, the humiliation. But then I remind myself, I walked through hell, and I came out on the other side, stronger, wiser, and completely, finally free.